Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Ahmed again for Avionics and this is Mastering Ansible. In this section we are discussing what Ansible is and what a configuration management tool is and why it should be used. In the previous lecture we have discussed briefly what Ansible is and what DevOps is and the need for DevOps in the era of virtualization and cloud computing. Let's now see how Ansible is compared to other tools on the market. If you have read about DevOps and configuration management tools, you have sure stumbled upon some other names that fall in the same category as Ansible. You might have heard about Chef, Puppet, or Salt. I'm not going to recommend Ansible over other tools of the same category, as by doing this, I will be misleading you. This is because choosing the right tool for the task at hand is what you need to know. Neither Ansible nor any other tool that's discussed below is a silver bullet. And a silver bullet, if you haven't heard this term before, refers to something that is flawless and suitable for any situation. No configuration management tool, actually no DevOps tool of all the tools that are available for this methodology is a silver bullet. You have to choose the right tool for the right project. Having said that, let's see where Ansible stands among other tools of the same type, like Chef for example. Ansible does not require an agent to be installed on the client, while Chef requires a client to be installed. Chef is tightly coupled with Ruby. Ruby is a programming language just like PHP, but it's often used in configuration management tools like Puppet and Chef, and it's also used for Vagrant. Vagrant will be discussed later in this section, while Ansible uses Python. So if you are comfortable with Python, then Ansible might be a very good choice for you. If you are comfortable with Ruby, I encourage you to continue learning about Ansible, because in my own opinion, Ansible is easier than Chef and it has a less steeper learning curve. Chef uses JSON format for configuration files, while Ansible uses YAML. YAML will be discussed later in this class. It is just a data serialization format. It is used to store data in a text file on the disk, just like JSON and XML. And some people might argue that YAML is easier than JSON, but that's up to you. We're going to discuss YAML as we said later, and you're going to see for yourself which of them is better suited for you. So the choice is yours at the end. No configuration management tool is better than the other, but there is a tool for each task. So you will have to have more than one tool under your belt so that you are prepared for each and every task that you might be handed. So let's have a quick look at Vagrant, because we are going to use this software extensively in this class. If you haven't heard about Vagrant before, Vagrant is one of the DevOps tools that received a lot of attention in the past few years. It works on top of a virtualization platform like VirtualBox or VMware, so Vagrant cannot work by its own. Vagrant is not a virtualization platform. Vagrant is just a tool that works on top of a virtualization platform. So what makes Vagrant different than VirtualBox or VMware, for example? Why aren't we just using VirtualBox or VMware right from the start? This is because Vagrant will ease your life as an administrator or as a developer, because it provides what's called instant provisioning. Instant provisioning means that it saves you a lot of time and effort setting up a virtual machine. Why is that? Because Vagrant uses something called a box. Now, let's say that you want to install CentOS or Ubuntu on your VirtualBox. You go and download the ISO file from ubuntu.com or from centos.org. You download the ISO that reflects the required version of the operating system, and then you create a new virtual machine on your VirtualBox or VMware. You mount the ISO file to the virtual CD-ROM of your machine. You adjust the memory, the CPU, the disk file that it's gonna use, and then you click Start. If you've worked with virtualization before, you are already familiar with what I'm saying. Then you go through the installation process. You configure the packages that need to be installed, you configure the users, you configure the time zone, etc., until at the end you have a bare metal machine ready for you to use. Vagrant gives you a shortcut that saves you all those steps. It's called a box. A box is a ready-made operating system. You have a box for CentOS, a box for Ubuntu, a box for SUSE, a box for Arch Linux, and all major Linux distributions, almost all of them, have at least one box at Vagrant website. which is called Atlas. You can search Google for Vagrant Atlas, and you're gonna see a huge number of boxes that cater to every need. So once you download the box from the website or from any other website from any location where this box is located, Vagrant can use this box to launch any number of virtual machines. All of them are just ready-made operating system. Once you issue Vagrant up, as we're gonna see in a moment, you have a version of the operating system up and running. And this version of the operating system is not just a bare metal version. You can of course install the bare metal version, but more often than not, this version contains pre-bundled software. You can, for example, install a Vagrant machine that contains a web server ready installed. You just import the box, issue Vagrant up, and instantly you have a machine that is up and running with a disk already configured, with memory already configured, with CPU already configured, with network devices already configured, with even a username created for you, which is Vagrant, and it also has the Apache web server already installed. So all what you need to do as a developer is just issue Vagrant SSH and you are inside the machine. You can start working right off the bat. You don't have to follow any steps. You don't have to waste any time installing the operating system or setting up the environment by any means. This is just to give you an idea about how Vagrant is a robust DevOps tool. Vagrant uses a text file, and this text file is written in Ruby, so Ruby again is used. It's called Vagrant file, and Vagrant file is just one word, like this Vagrant file with the V capital. This Vagrant file defines the characteristics of the machine, like for example, the host name, the network interface, whether or not it's going to have a private network interface, a NAT, a public network interface, whether or not it's going to be reachable from the outside network, outside the host or not, and many other characteristics of the virtual machine are described or are written inside this Vagrant file. To use Vagrant, you have to download and install VirtualBox or VMware or Parallel. Any of those virtualization platforms are needed or are required to install Vagrant. So in this class, we're going to use VirtualBox. VirtualBox can be downloaded from virtualbox.org/wiki/downloads. Let's have a look at this website. As you can see here, VirtualBox binaries, and as you can see, it supports nearly all operating systems. It supports Windows, Mac OS X, Linux, and Solaris. So you can install VirtualBox on any of these platforms, depending on, of course, the machine that you are using. And once it is installed, it's very easy. Just follow the wizard, and once it's installed, you can install Vagrant. Vagrant can be downloaded from this website, vagrantup.com/downloads. Let's have a look at this website. As you can see here, it's also supported on all major operating systems. It's supported on Windows, Debian, Linux like Ubuntu, CentOS like Red Hat, Fedora, and of course CentOS, and the Mac OS X. So once done, and again, it's just a wizard that you have to follow, and Vagrant is installed. Once it's installed, we are going to create the first machine that we are going to use in the lab, and that will be the starting topic of next lecture. So see you next.